Hello everyone and welcome back to the drawing board with me, Steve Lloyd, and today we will be talking about the rolling strut slide rail. It's a product that originates in Germany. You can probably tell by the name. It's a very descriptive. The standout feature of this product is the slide rail itself. Similar to our rolling strut trench boxes, except on this one the rails themselves are these independent sections. You can slide panels into the channels at the sides, and the front kind of roller coaster rail accepts these rolling struts that can independently move up and down. The way these are installed is you would usually put together either an H-frame with a strut or a frame with two posts and a panel, and these are then set up and driven into the ground, and each of the components can then independently be manoeuvred into place and driven in after the installation of the first side. The best feature is that each component slides independently, which means you can move each of the sides and push them into the ground separately. You can maneuver the struts up and down. This makes them ideal, similar to the rolling strut trench boxes. It makes them ideal for installing long sections of pipework where there are large components to lower into the excavation. You can leave some of the struts high and move some of the struts low, and it allows you to fit in much longer components than you otherwise would if you had trench box struts interfering. So how do these things actually work? I'm going to go back to traditional sheet and frame with sheet piles and whalers, where you'd have lots of vertical trench sheets or sheet piles that are then in turn supported by a horizontal whaler. And these are then supported by struts that would cross the excavation. In contrast to this, you have traditional box systems where usually it's horizontal panels that are fixed and connected to vertical posts either side, and it's those two vertical posts that carry trench box struts. The rolling strut slide rail is very similar to the traditional trench box construction, except all the components are separate. So you would have a separate post slide rail here, and each of the panels can independently be installed, getting the advantage of you can have one post with panels on both sides rather than needing pairs of posts next door to each other. So the pressure of the earth is carried by these horizontal panels into the vertical posts, and the vertical posts are then supported by a single rolling strut. The rolling struts themselves tend to be much deeper than a traditional trench box strut. The trench box strut tends to be a pair, one higher, one lower, and this is used to carry that kicking moment of the box. In this case, the kicking moment is carried entirely in this single strut, hence why it has to be a much deeper section, and you get these big haunches on the ends that help to spread out that load. You get a position at the top and bottom of these struts where the actual rollers are, and they are real rollers that actually run up and down these rails just like a roller coaster. And you might be thinking, carrying this kicking moment, you're going to get a large compression in the bottom and a large tension in the top, and these don't really look strong enough to carry a lot of tension. That would be true, except you've also got a lot of the pressure still pushing inwards on the box. So what you tend to get is a smaller tension at the top and a very large compression at the bottom, which has to be carried through this strut. And because this strut has this eccentric load centered around the bottom here, they have to be taller, they have to be heavy duty struts. Because the design of those struts, it means you can have really large depth areas of panel underneath the strut, and it's capable of taking quite a lot of kicking moment. So the advantages of using this system, their strength, their ability to carry a lot of moment with a single strut, and the scale at which you can do that. They're not really ideal for short-term, small emergency works. You're better off using a mat box. This is like the mat box on steroids. It's a much bigger version of a mat box. Where these really excel is infrastructure, long pipe runs, culvert installations. You can see this kind of system here, but you can leapfrog the system. It's really fast. The speed of it is good for moving on and progressing an excavation that's already been dug and moving it along in a linear fashion. One of the other advantages is the strut clearance. not just that depth underneath the strut that you get, but also in between two adjacent struts. There's also an additional system that can tie several posts together. So using this small example here, where you're tying 3 posts together instead of having a strut on every single post, you can really quickly achieve a 12-metre clearance. Depending on the soil conditions and how much force is being put into these boxes, you can get even 3, 4, 5 sets of posts all tied together with much larger clear openings. And one of the other advantages is a flexible arrangement. Just like a mat box, you can use panels and struts. You can have 4 panels on each side. You can use a panel to block off one end if you're going to then later, I don't know, services are going to cross through. You can manoeuvre your panels up and down in the excavation to leave gaps. That's one of the advantages of having the double slide rail system. Smaller excavations will tend to stick to the single one. When it gets taller than 4.5 metre rails, then we go to this double slide rail system, which you can see it has a slot in the front and in the back to accept panels at the front and panels at the back that will slide past each other. Why would you need to do this? It makes installation a lot easier on deeper excavations. What you don't want is to be trying to drive 7.5 metres worth of panel past all of that ground all at once. It's difficult enough just to drive a 600mm wide sheet pile. Trying to drive a 6.5 metre wide panel into the ground just wouldn't be suitable. So you tend to drive just one part of the panel at once. You can overlap the top and the bottom, and when you've got your depth, you can nudge just the bottom panel down, so you're trying to drive a lot less material. It's a lot easier to install. We have posts 3.5 to 7.5 metres. Panels range from 2 metres to 6 metres wide, so you can use the smaller panels to get some more detailed work, to make arrangements to fit smaller, more complex excavations, or you can go for the big panels and really leapfrog and get those excavations moving. The modular struts range from 0.4 metres in depth to, from the floor up, 1.2 metres in depth. So these struts are really tall, and that's again to carry that extra moment. So really good in long infrastructure runs, good at moving linear excavations along at a pace, and that overall is the rolling strut slide rail. So thanks for listening, and hope to see you coming back to the drawing board again.